Lawadi kesedrar mauwon Lara rupakal Dioselme Kadangal-tangat Rabalwa Tarakmal Globogol-bulu
Malungil season mo rarugul aduk mo sa edat magalilang ngakakman na tuwa ba dal bangek Lega koteng koram lom ring la batenge kal bleka utera kasus mo da kaset midra imag endi mili magam lo sabe ga magulak mlei endi me ela ka okra asiltia ge tirat mo tirgal soldam amo mesiti tugo optois the majority ra asiltia tugo optois ka mamara ar bela ngartiang endi tianga malungil te ala te gi the program tigal adung mlengket agi mo ko la siraber tilo sengara ulm tengartia temlel kladao alu temlel lararo malungil te al manga mo rongstri de guk mormen sa Udesuall adra bulu
ikida mrenga sulela Irene Ngirmang lenga pi ramrikel mal swal celestri tigagir bese soldal mekmer der belau yang mga takter tirin may mang ngolol ti mga adar belau mo matan tirir mang laom datsuk mo gidam dakter at soldal lo begida diakdam dakter at soldal kada merenga sulel belol malati gagidel soldal mer belau
dia mga saule ay hindi tianga tilgi bulgura kos ngaraw ul mang namo mol ang talbuiro ngaramong blat tiang hindi tirga nga bes yang ABS el grup ABS el mlei ate alogeriti tula wasetam lera sa trim elon ko singila aong ay buil tirgel guk mlarti am la marael tirga gidami bes dadwai di mo nguti alte al mestri mo gel melkingir mo shogarti mo ko gidomo. Okay, so first first welcome to Palau and I'm scared, you know, when you guys walk in because I always think of soldiers with guns and shooting others, you know. Okay, but when you walk in, I know. So in Palau, when foreigners come, we consider them either as enemies or as friends. So I think in this circumstance, you are friends. I'm just wondering why Irene invite you to your group to come because some of you were here only a month ago.
Yeah, we were. We just want to show more faces.
Oh, okay. So
we had so much fun.
So Mr. Talam says, Irene is married to an American, so I guess she wants Palauans to see you more and to accept you and not to be afraid of you, Americans in the military. But she does not know that we accept, we appraise Americans, and many of our children are in the U.S. military, so there's no problem on that one. Okay, so she's going to have the duty to translate, summarize. So I'll give the chance to, to the whoever is the chief or the boss among you to introduce yourself around and kind of brief, tell us what's your mission.
All right, great. Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. So, just to be clear, are we going to do sequential translation? You're gonna summarize what I say.
Yes.
Okay. So I'll break as we go. All right, great. Okay, so good morning, Palau, and also good afternoon to our friends across the Pacific and families that are going to be listening into this show. So I'm Lieutenant Colonel Jason Reukema, the commanding officer of Task Force Koa Moana.
Welcome to Palau. Malungil tutaw rekla atol nga Udesuall tirgal group ngartiang tirgal US Marines adala Koa Moana material tim lang artial mlegotal may lobantarir Lieutenant Kampa ngaya kora public relations tir munguk mle organizer tirgal bes lob titril may tirgal mle ngartiara before Monica Knight, Megahertz, and she's got a new title. That's
Gunnery Sergeant.
Yes, Gunnery Sergeant. And so this new gentleman, can you say your name again?
So Lieutenant Colonel Jason Reukema.
What do you do, Lieutenant
Colonel Reukema.
Colonel Reukema?
I was like, that's a lot more than what I said. That's okay.
Oh, okay.
Sure. That's okay.
Yeah, I think I'll just summarize.
Too easy. All right.
Yeah, so everyone can get a chance.
So I'm not sure if everyone got introduced. I know we already let the cat out of the bag here. So Monica, who was a staff sergeant, recently got promoted to gunnery sergeant, Megahertz night. And we did this down in Peleliu at a very important place to the Marine Corps, which was at the top of Bloody Nose Ridge on Peleliu. We did that a couple of days ago. It was a beautiful ceremony. And then also introducing on my left, for those that can see, this is First Sergeant Hager. He's my senior enlisted leader, is my primary advisor to myself as the commander. And then to my right is Lieutenant Jameel Daniels. He is my chaplain, so my spiritual advisor and religious programs advisor for the task force. And then who hasn't been introduced is Lieutenant Dodson. She's my communications officer. Very, very well spoken and very talented. Brought her in so that she can take over for me when I start stumbling on my speeches as I do. And then I believe RP, were you introduced previously? And then over here on the side is RP2 Hooker. She's our part of our religious ministries team.
So we're okay. So if we die or something, let's do this.
It's not going to happen. He will bless, but I'm not worried about that right now. Great. Okay, so again, thank you for having us on the air. We're here to just talk and answer any questions. I know there's a lot of questions from the people of Palau.
Yes.
And now we're at a position where we can start answering a few more questions to tell you what we're doing. First, we came on the air and we were a little hesitant to say what we were going to do because we don't want to make promises that we can't keep. And now that we've actually been able to accomplish things, we can talk more in detail about what we've been doing in Palau over the last few months.
Okay. So can we just go around, just comment, like starting, what are you doing?
Like what do you do professionally?
My profession?
Yeah, here, or what are you doing here as a part of the team?
Just as the boss said, I'm the advisor to the commander. So any guidance, any decisions that he might have to make, he relies on me and the experiences I've had in the Marine Corps. I had 18 years in a few weeks. So I've been around the Marine Corps quite a bit and done a few things, gone a few places. So just as he said, he relies on my counsel and guidance, and then at the end of the day, it's his decision to make. So I'm kind of like his right-hand man, so to speak. So.
Thank you, sir. And Ungnil Tutau to all of you out in Radio Land. I learned that on YouTube. Very excited about it. So yes, I'm Chaplain Daniels, and I am here, as Lieutenant Colonel Reukema said, to be the chaplain for the task force. So one of the roles that I serve in the task force is to provide religious support to all of the Marines and sailors who are here, and to provide advice on morale and other things like that to the commanding officer. I also work to build community relations with the local Palauan people, so I'm visiting various schools and churches to learn more about the culture so that we better understand how it is that we can assist in helping Palau be better. So, thank you, sir.
You can take the mic off. It's probably easier.
Ali Palau, hello. My name is First Lieutenant Dodson. I am the communications officer for Task Force Koa Moana. So I am in charge of planning, installing, and operating all of our telecommunication systems, and I'm the one who builds out our network architectures to ensure our commander and our Marines are able to internally and externally communicate. Yes.
You can pass for Palau.
Yes, I'm not in that.
Okay.
Good morning, everybody. I am RP2 Victoria Hooker. I work alongside Chaplain Daniels. I'm here to support him and the locals with moral support of the community and within our Marines and sailors that we have here. Thank you.
Hey, tell us what happened yesterday. How did this happen, your promotion on top of the hill? Teleli or what?
Well, I kind of wanted to pay respect to 1st Marine Division. Lieutenant Colonel Reukema was previously stationed with 1st Marine Division, which we call our Blue Diamond, and I will be joining his unit soon when we get back, and I kind of wanted to pay homage to the Marines that came before us in our lineage. So I asked to be promoted and have him present with me on Peleliu at Bloody Nose Ridge, and then I also received a blessing from our chaplain too as well. Considering I'm Catholic, and I just wanted to feel really blessed and connect that lineage and, pay my respect.
Wow. Last time when you were here, you were telling us what were you doing. So this time, this group, can you tell us a little bit like where you work or what you're doing in what place and with what organization or?
As far as what we're doing here in
Yes,
Palau?
this time, your group, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so Task Force Koa Moana has a history in Palau. We've been coming here during the summers for a few years now, and as you can see, the size of the task force and the length that we're here keeps getting longer and more people and bigger projects. So this time around, so stuff we've already done. So. Last month, we completed a road resurfacing project in Peleliu. So a lot of the coral limestone roads that were through the village, that were the bus routes, some of the roads that are used for the festivals down there, we went and resurfaced them. They're really nice. We were down there a couple days ago. No, we didn't put concrete, not the concrete roads.
But resurfaced them?
Yeah, so the coral limestone roads. Okay. Tore them up, recompacted them, made them smooth again, and kind of definitely improved the roads down there. So they're in a much better condition than they were a few weeks ago. Also, we did a ecology, so restoration project at the Lake Gardok in Meliok. Did I say that correctly? Meliok. And so that was a good project. We had a lot of personnel that went out there and supported that project, and definitely opened up the lake quite a bit. And then we've also done a reforestation project. We helped with some reforestation, planting some new trees.
Where?
No, it was what was the reforestation project? You remember the estate? It was on an old aluminum mine, old bauxite mine.
Oh, that's Ngirmang.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
And then we're still working on a project right now at Palau High School, just doing some minor maintenance and assistance. And so those are some of the community projects we've been working through, but some of the bigger projects we're working on. So we worked with the National Security Coordinator and the national government. They asked if we could help with a range, a firing range. And we said, being U.S. Marines, we said, yes,
Wow.
absolutely.
Yeah.
We can do a range. That's one thing that we are good at, is creating ranges to go train on firearms and for camping, life support areas and things like that. That's
and
what
what
we're
is
good
that?
at. That's in how do you pronounce it? Kapang? Napang. So it's right off the Cross Island Road, and then we've been we've built a road through the forest into where the actual training site's going to be. So that road has been it's been cut through the forest. The ground's been cleared. We're putting down the gravel, most of the gravel, and has already been put down.
And what is that? You go about over the hill and then you go down.
Mm-hmm.
In Ngirmang,
Yeah, so
Compact Road.
you come, if you go up the Compact Road, and then you take a right on the Cross Island Road, and it's almost right in the middle of the Cross Island Road.
But isn't that in SR area? Because I built that road. I know it. Yeah, as a governor of SR.
So it's
but there was a dispute of the boundary.
So it's on the.
But I don't. There's a you have to see it. But I think it's in Ngirmang.
So it's from where the sign is, where the boundary is, about probably 900 meters to 1 kilometer west is where the
and it's the
range is.
Ngirmang state that kind of authorized that or approved that.
So yes, so that land was donated to the national government, leased to the national government. So national government land. And then they asked if we could put a range there, and we said, yeah, absolutely, we can build a range. That's something we're good at. And so we started to build that so law enforcement can do training, visiting forces when they come in, they have somewhere to set up. So there's already land that we can set up our campsites at once we get this done, fingers crossed. And just in general, there'll be a firing range, a training facility on Palauan national government land for national government forces.
And then if you decide to build a military base there, and of course Palau approves it, then it can be a site for a base?
So it'd be a good site for visiting forces, what we call a life support area. So if there's just visiting forces that are coming in for a few weeks or a few days, for a place to set up, yes, that would be an option.
I was wondering, because our Constitution bans guns, has our president authorized the U.S. military to carry guns and exercise in that range?
So right now, we don't have anybody up there with firearms. Yeah, there's no one up there with firearms.
But I think the compact authorized the military to bring guns here.
They can be silent.
So there is processes for U.S. forces to bring firearms into the country, and then we've been very detailed in making sure we're respecting those laws, and we're not just showing up with weapons and saying we're here. We're not doing that at all. We know what the orders and regulations are, and we have followed them to a T and worked for months to make sure everything we're doing is, in accordance with Palauan law. It's respecting of traditions, and more importantly is respecting of the Palauan processes. That's that's very important to me, is understanding that, making sure that we are following the Palauan processes, and that everything we do, we're doing the Palauan way.
So for those of us who are not afraid of guns, is there a little chance for recreational target shooting?
So on that range, that would be up to the Palauan agency that's going to have control of that range. So just to be clear, we are not building a U.S. range. This is not going to be U.S. property. This is Palauan. This is Palauan controlled, Palauan operated. We're just doing it because we think it's a good idea, and we're really good at it. And then we are able to get a lot of improving our skill sets by doing it.
I've been twice to a place in the States where I've lived where they teach women self-defense, or they just teach you how to use. So that way then you are aware and you're informed of what kind of guns are there and what purposes are for which guns. So I was thinking maybe if there's a recreational part, I don't think Moses would like that, but
you'll be in prison for 15 years minimum. Minimum. I mean, we have a very strict.
You don't need guns.
Yeah, we have a strict gun laws.
Yeah. So but thank you for sharing.
What other project are you doing beside the firing range?
Sure, there's a couple other projects we're doing. So as far as building wise, there's some. We've got a project we're working on to. Increase some capacity and capabilities at the international airport. The airport had some containers that were dropped off by the U.S. Center for Disease Control in a parking lot there at the fire station. And we're relocating those, putting them in a place it opens up the parking lot a little bit more for the fire department there. We're also looking at expanding the service road, the service road that goes around the airport, improving that quite a bit, stabilizing the ground, leveling it out. And then we're also looking at doing some maintenance on the northern access road. That one's going to be a little tough for us to get at based on timing, how much time we have here. And so those are the big build projects that we have. We have some other minor projects that we're working on. We got proposed some more maintenance at some schools and playgrounds. That's good for our Marines and sailors to get an opportunity to go do those things, and they're doable. But a lot of the stuff we're doing isn't necessarily just construction related. It's what we call partner capacity building, and that's like working with NEMO or the National Communications Architecture on maintenance or process improvement. We have an extensive month-long program with the law enforcement agencies, with our Coast Guard and our intelligence personnel on how to improve processes and procedures and just general, how to understand how each other operates so that we can work together better. Medical, you should see what we're doing at the hospital.
Yeah.
It is great. We saw a lot of opportunities for just some for learning from each other, and we've got a biomedical equipment technician that we brought with us, whose job is to fix medical equipment.
Oh yes,
and develop.
There is a need here.
Yeah, and develop procedures for maintenance. And he's been doing just great work at the hospital. He's really, found little ways he can fix some of the equipment down there, and that the workers of the hospital are learning from him, and then he's learning how they do their procedures. So he's doing some great work down there. And then environmental health. We brought in some of our specialized doctors that deal with infectious disease and bugs and vector-borne diseases. So there's a lot that we don't understand. Like the U.S. does not understand about the environment in Palau, and we're learning. And he's finding out some good information about the different insects and potential things that can make people sick in Palau.
I'm going to ask you a question about the hospital. Don't worry. You're not going to offend the Palau officials here, or the powers that be here. What do you think of the hospital? I was just there. I must tell you honestly, it's like a rundown operation. I saw that it was built in the late 90s, and then it was the most expensive hospital in the Pacific. It cost $25 million, your money, U.S. money, as a part of this compact deal.
That's a lot for that size.
I oppose it. Many of us oppose it to be there because of the weather and we should be in town where people are, but some powerful elements here override us and then build it there. And now it's falling apart. And if you look at it, it's actually a design of a resort. When you look at it, it's not designed for hospital, if you look at it. So if you go around, it's like some parts falling apart. So what do you think about it?
That's interesting.
Did you make any observation or?
So yeah, that's interesting. So, everything's needs maintenance, right?
Okay.
So, but we look at it from I'm not necessarily looking at it from the same perspective that everyone else is. We're looking at it from the entire system, the people, the facilities, the training, and then other resources that are going into it. So we're looking at it from what we can affect, which is the continuing medical education and just exchange of ideas, that continual professional development that medical professionals do all the time by just talking with other medical professionals.
And it's adequate as a facility for a hospital. From your observation.
I'm not a medical professional, so and as far as medical facilities professionals, I'm not really looking at it from that lens. I haven't looked at it from that lens, so that's not one that I can really answer too well.
You said when was it built?
90s.
For 30 years old, everything needs maintenance after 30 years, right? So.
Okay.
And possibly be used for something for a future task force level, and it could be in research.
Yeah.
So maybe a structure sound type of thing.
But we have doctors here.
We do.
And Ngirmang, they're military. They can fix any wounded anywhere in the desert or somewhere. So to ask a question about
they can repair. They can repair.
Yeah,
Also.
I think it's the maintenance. That's our concern is, are the young people or the people who work in maintenance, are they cooperative and willing to learn from you when you're working with them?
Absolutely. It's a great learning environment for all sides.
To know.
It's a professional working environment, so it's that's not the shortfall. I do understand concerns with facilities as they start getting older, but major medical facilities though, that's outside of my lane. Yeah.
So in your operations around all these projects that you described, do you have Palawans working with you, like counterparts, either from the government, private sector, or from the state?
Absolutely. Everything we're doing is side by side, with the Palawan agencies, and everything we do here is through Palawan authorities. I have no authorities to do anything other than tell my own people what to do. So working Palawan land or working with explosive ordnance disposal, that is all through Palawan authorities. That's not U.S. authorities.
Currently, we have Serengal heavy equipment operators operating with our heavy equipment mechanics and operators out at the range right now. And so they're hand in hand, learning each other's ways on how they excavate, on how they take down vegetation, and just really learning and getting that experience from both perspectives.
Tell us a little about the electrical system of the hospital, because I know my husband's not very...
We have yet to assess that. It has not been on our list quite yet. Really, we've been focusing on our range because we will be installing electric power out there. So just as you said earlier, sir, we're going to have a couple of training facilities, but we're also going to have buildings go up to as well, and then we're going to provide power to those. So any forces that do tend to fall in there will have the capability to go in and have electrical.
Wiring.
Yes,
it's going to
sir.
be wired for electricity. We're not actually putting it into the short power yet.
So we'll wire, we'll tie it in with our generators, but we're going to install a manual transfer switch. So maybe a future task force Koa Moana or the local government could tie in a local power line and be able to do it smoothly. So
like if an individual has some problems with the building wiring here, can they come to you for help?
We could assess,
Of course,
but
through the government, of course.
yes, absolutely. We could assess, but ultimately that's going to be the CAT team that's going to go out and do that physical hands-on work, that civil action team. We can assess, but right now, unfortunately, we will not go out and touch somebody's home or anything like that sort. We'll try and put it up to best code as possible. I know previously we talked about the National Electrician Code and implementing that here too as well.
So, Lieutenant Dodson, you've worked with some of the locals closely in establishing our communication systems. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. So I've been working right now with the National Emergency Management Office, directly working with Mr. Wyman and Leo, who is the logistics officer over there. So something that we're trying to help improve is your Palawan's emergency telecommunications, especially when a typhoon hits or a natural disaster hits. We want to make sure that you guys are able to communicate. So something that I have right now, I have my radio operators at NEMO assessing the situation and seeing how we can improve your emergency telecommunications just in case something were to occur.
Yes.
Yeah.
Happened here in March.
Yes, I heard.
Well, yeah, April was a real mess in terms of communication because it hit us surprisingly. We're supposed to go toward Guam or something and then turn around and then hit us. So,
yes, I heard, and that's ultimately why we're here. We just want to assess some areas in which we can improve and assist and to provide greater good for all of the Palawans.
So how many of you this team, how many of you and how long this team is going to stay?
Sure. So total size of my task force is 200. 200. And that's Marines, U.S. Marines, U.S. Navy sailors, U.S. Coast Guardsmen, and then I've even brought one Air Force airman with me this time.
Are there others in Angar or other part of Palau, other branch of the U.S. military here?
So there is other branches of the U.S. Military that come in and out. So as we know, U.S. Army was just down at Angar doing exercise Forager 21. And then the CAT teams here, that's Air Force. It's Air Force right now. There's also sailors there working with the CAT team and U.S. Marines working with the CAT team. So there's actually quite a few U.S. service members throughout Palau, plus all the Palauan veterans that are still U.S. service members.
And how many Army in Angar?
Right now, 0. They're gone. But I
think they just left, right?
Yeah, they just left. It just
So you cannot divide Palau. Angar is for the army and Peleliu for the Marines. Okay.
no, we're Marines. I'll take it all. I'm greedy. I'm greedy. Everybody stay away. My task force for here now. No, it's the U.S. DoD has a good working relationship, but there's lots of opportunities, and I mean, Palau's been open during COVID, and been inviting of U.S. military activities to come into Palau as long as we meet the COVID restrictions. I know I was here. This is my second time in Palau. I was here in February and March, and I did 14 days of quarantine at home in the U.S. In a room by myself, and then we did bubble-to-bubble transfer. So we had a U.S. military jet, 3 days of travel in that bubble to get here, and then I went to the Cove, and we were in the Cove for 14 days in a room by ourselves. Lieutenant Dodson remembers, before we were able to get out. And so 31 days of quarantine. It was very nice. Miss Connie from Ministry of HHS called me every day to say hello, to make sure I was still doing well.
Good.
I appreciate that. Shout out to Miss Connie. Thank you.
So one of you is a carrier of COVID.
We no, not true. We are all vaccinated, so.
So since we're kind of tired of this COVID thing, can we go to the fun part? I'd really like to, for Palauans who are listening, to get to know you as a person. So maybe they can take turns and introduce yourself, and really like where you were born, what kind of a background you come from, what you're interested in, and if there's anything in Palau that is also interesting to you. I'll just share a little bit about your personal self.
Okay. You're looking at me, so it looks like I'm
maybe
going
you can
first.
start with you. I know Lieutenant Kampa shared last time, so we'll start with you, and you can hold the mic. So.
Sure. All right. Good morning again, everyone. I was born in Dallas, Texas, but I grew up in Southeast Missouri. I have a little bit of a unique background, unique story. I joined the Marine Corps at the age of 22. So I graduated high school, went to college. One of my really good friends joined the Marine Corps. He was in the Air Wing, so he worked on planes and such. So I finished the semester. I got a job at the phone company, doing some sales and things like that. And then they were laying people off, and I got my then fiance pregnant, so I had a little one to worry about and had responsibilities. So I joined the Marine Corps, turned 22 in boot camp, and then that was that. Prior to, grew up in Southeast Missouri, so I'm not sure if everyone has heard of the Arch in St. Louis, the big Arch, Cardinals. Yeah. So it's 2 hours south of that. Small town, and my grandfather was in the Marine Corps. He served in the Korean War, and that's what drew me to the Marine Corps. And I have 5 jobs in the Marine Corps, so we call them military occupational specialties, MOSs. My first job was artillery forward observer. So I was the little guy that would go out with the infantry and call in the artillery gunfire on the bad guys. That was my first job. And then second job, I was a martial arts instructor. So teaching our martial arts in the Marine Corps.
Are you a black belt?
I am a black belt, yes.
Okay.
Black
For
belt.
real.
In what category? What martial art?
We call it Marine Corps Martial Arts Program. So it's a mix of several different disciplines that the Marine Corps utilizes. But there's 5 belts off the top of my head, and black belt is where I capped out at. We have a couple Marines in the task force that are martial arts instructor trainers, so they can actually build the instructors and also increase the belt level. So that was very interesting, very, very fun time going to that school. Next job was the drill instructor. So I'm not sure if everyone saw the movie Full Metal Jackets. The guy's wearing the big funny hat that go through boot camp. I did that job actually twice.
I think we need a boot camp in Palau.
Definitely fun to see the recruits come in as a raw recruit, they forget how to walk, so you have to teach them how to walk again, and then see them at the end graduating the whole time to be militarized and be rough and tough Marines. And then I was also a joint terminal attack controller, so that individual basically controls aircraft. So when the aircraft comes in and drops the bombs off the airplane, I was able to basically control where they go and talk them on to where the bad guys are at. Very, very rewarding job. And then finally, current job as a first sergeant. So, so for civilian terms, I guess it would be human resources, kind of. So, and then of course disciplinary stuff within the Marines. If Marines do weird things, I kind of bring them in, like, come on, little guy, let's go talk about this, and counsel them on stuff. But it's been very rewarding, and I've enjoyed my time. Like I said, 18 years and literally a couple weeks. Wow. But yeah, that's Jeremy. So,
so the tough Palawan boys who want to take on the military, U.S. military, you better watch out if you take this Paul guy. No touch. Stones will do the trick. Yeah.
No, I actually had the opportunity to go with the chaps to Mission Academy, Palau Mission Academy, and enjoy service there. We went to a volleyball game. We went to the cross country meet on Wednesday to cheer the kids on. My son ran cross country in high school, so it was very near and dear to my heart to see the kids out there running, and it's been a good time. I'm looking forward to getting into the community and interacting more with your people.
That's very nice. I'm an alumni of Palau Mission Academy.
Okay.
And our principal, when I was a student there, was an ex-military, and he would march us on the road in the afternoon, like left, right, left. So it was really tough discipline, but I know that myself and my classmates, all of the people who were under that leadership at that time are all self-employed and really go-getters.
Really successful.
Hardworking, yeah.
Yes.
So how would you inspire young people with a work ethic?
Honestly, that's probably one of the things I would characterize myself as, describe myself as tough work ethic. I grew up in a very, very poor area. Single mom. She would literally ride a 10-speed to wait tables for 10, 12 hours a day and ride a 10-speed home. We were on food stamps, government aid, things like that. A lot of times my only 2 meals would be at the school because we were so low income. But watching her and her going through her struggles with my little brother, it was definitely inspiring, and seeing what she had to go through as a single mom drove me to where I'm at today. So
thank you so much for sharing that. It's my favorite thing to talk about, the work ethic. We need him in Palau.
Don't go, stay here.
I'd love to. Chaps.
Thank you, First Sergeant. So yeah, I'm Chaplain Jameel Daniels, a lieutenant in the United States Navy, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan. My father was from Detroit. My mother was from Clarksdale, Mississippi. Yeah, my father grew up. My father grew up in a very tough situation, and so he was very much the disciplinarian in our home. He was a Vietnam veteran. I have 4 brothers, one of which served in the United States Marine Corps. My brother John, shout out to John. So military service was always a part of our environment. My father did not, like your principal, did not allow us to not be disciplined. Everything had a place, and there was a place for everything. And so that structure was always a part of my life. I grew up, and after I graduated from high school, I wanted to enlist. My father talked me out of enlisting. He had, as I said, he served in Vietnam, and so he had a difficult experience. He suggested that I go to college. And so I went to college, and while I was in school, 9/11 happened. And so I talked to my father again at that time and told him I wanted to enlist again. And he said, son, I would support you joining if I thought this was the war for you, but I don't think this is the war that you should fight in. And so he told me to stay in school, and so I did. And I finished school. I ended up working for the federal government for about 10 years. I did a number of things supporting the Department of Defense as it related to networks and computers and things of that nature. Shortly thereafter that, I met a woman who loved me well and became very influential in me deciding to give my life to God. And so I, at the time, was working for the Defense Intelligence Agency as a program manager, and was looking for a job that I could do that would make a difference. I did not want to look back on my life and say, you know, I did these cool things and that was just the extent of it. I wanted to look back and be able to say with a full heart that I had given my all to something, and that I had done something to help make people's lives better. I'd always wanted to serve, and so I was still looking for an opportunity to serve in the military. I had gone to see a Marine recruiter several times, and I just couldn't figure out quite what I was going to do. I didn't want to do something that sounded cool and then not be happy and fulfilled in that job. And so eventually we settled on, my wife and I, through prayer and just talking to various people, becoming a chaplain in the military, which I did not know was an option. And so I looked into the various branches of service. I decided ultimately on the Navy because I would get to serve with Marines, and in various other capacities. The Navy serves on land, on sea. There's always planes and things associated with the Navy as well. So there's just always just various opportunities to serve my country and to serve the people of my country, and helping them when they're in difficult situations. And so I thought being a chaplain was perfect for me. So I went through seminary. I quit my job and went to seminary. I was in seminary for 2.5 years.
Wow.
I then moved to Huntsville to teach high school at a private school, a Christian school there, at Oakwood Adventist Academy. So I'm Seventh-day Adventist as well. Then after I finished that, I did that for 3 years, also volunteering as a local lay pastor at a local church. I met the requirements of the United States Navy to join for my professional development, went through our version of basic training, and received a commission in March of 2020. And so this is my first year on active duty, my 6th year in the pipeline. So I was an inactive rated reservist for 5 years, and then this is my first year on active duty. And so, yeah, I've been here with this great team of Marines and sailors, and now an airman and Coast Guardsman, trying to ingratiate ourselves into this community, to learn the culture and the things that are important to local Palauans. As First Sergeant said, we've been able to visit with local high schools, one of them being Palau Mission Academy. I've spoken there for one of their chapels, and gotten to know some of the kids there. Very, very wonderful, loving, just really bright children, and I've thoroughly enjoyed that experience. And so while we're here, one of my roles, to answer a question that you asked earlier, sir, is to help identify areas where future Koa Moana task forces or task forces from the United States military can work to help better support Palau. And so that is a part of what I'm doing here, in addition to providing spiritual support for the Marines and sailors of Task Force Koa Moana.
You were recently promoted too, as well.
I was, yeah. Thank you, Gunnery Sergeant Megahertz Knight. That's great.
Whole room of promotion.
That's right. We in here. We out here.
So
In here
do
and
you
out
pray
here,
with
sorry.
these folks before you start the project every morning, or if they get hurt, or if one of them dies in the hospital, are you gonna,
So yes, that is a part of my role. If someone were to pass, then part of my responsibility would be to care for that person's remains and to facilitate with the team here that the transport of their remains back to their family stateside. I do provide religious services for the task force, and so I offer prayer, and we have Protestant services. Because I'm a Protestant, we have Protestant services with the task force locally, and I've actually coordinated with Father Rusk at Sacred Heart Church for our Catholic Marines and sailors to go out in town and have worship. And we're actually going to also go out and visit with the Foursquare Gospel Church this Sunday to have worship with some local Palauans and in a local Palauan church. So yes,
That's
sir.
very nice. I feel like spiritual, part of life is so important as well. Also in the military, that's
Yes,
good
ma'am.
to know.
Well, I'm a Catholic, she's Seventh-day Adventist. He's a Protestant evangelical. And I've always questioned and wondered why. You are the branches. We are the stem. You are the root.
He reminds us every week.
Of Christianity. Why did you guys go off?
That's a long conversation. Talk about that another time.
G's gonna have to take the wheel for that one.
That's it.
Thank you, Chaplain.
Hello, everyone. My name is First Lieutenant Dodson, but you guys can just call me Kimberly. I have a very similar story to First Sergeant. I also grew up very low income, just single mother household. I never met my father before, and when I was 17 years old, I really felt a calling to serve. I wanted to be kind of like a protector, but I was 17 years old, and my mom did not want me to enlist into the military. She really believed in education, and I already had a scholarship to go to school. So I ended up making a deal with my mom if I can just join the reserves instead. So in the military, in the reserves, you're still able to maintain a civilian life, but then you just work in the military 1 weekend a month. So I was able to get my mom to sign the papers when I was 17 years old. And I became an armorer. So I used to work on different weapon systems and was attached to an infantry unit at some point. After that, throughout college, I ended up finding another recruiter. Should I say he kind of found me on campus, and he convinced me to join and commission and become a Marine Corps officer instead. So I ended up going through that pipeline. So graduated college and then decided to become an officer throughout TBS, which is the basic school. That's where we get all of our different jobs and we learn what best suits us. And I realized I want to become a communications officer. I found technology really interesting. I like problem solving, and my job is intellectually stimulating. So that's something that I really was very enticed and drawn to. So became a communications officer, and throughout my Marine Corps career, I was a platoon commander, so I was in charge of 30 Marines at one point, then became the satellite platoon commander and was in charge of 60 Marines, became the executive officer of the company, and then at some point took over the entire company. And now I'm here with Task Force Koa Moana as the lead communications planner. So just really excited just to highlight some of the things that we're doing while I am in charge of coming up with our communication architecture of how we internally and externally communicate. I'm also interested in working with the local Palau and see how we can help anyone who has radios, technology, network architectures. Even here, if you guys need assistance, we're more than happy to help.
How can a short lady like you come in this?
It's called a ladder, sir.
Yes. Oh, I get that. I'm so short. I think I'm the shortest one in my platoon. Yeah. I'm looking up at everyone when I'm talking to them all the time.
What's your ethnic background?
Well, my mom is Guatemalan and my dad is Dominican.
Where were you born?
In Boston, Massachusetts.
East Coast.
Yes, East Coast. So Red Sox, really a big Red Sox fan. Yeah.
East Coast.
Yeah.
Here, you can use this.
Hi, I am RP2 Victoria Hooker. You could just call me Victoria. You will be seeing me around with Chaplain Daniels a lot on top of with the task force. A lot like probably a lot of people within this task force. I did grow up with just my mom. It was just me and her for majority of my life. And she was my best friend growing up. She supported my dreams and my goals. I always wanted to do military. Didn't know what branch. For Halloween, instead of dressing up as a princess, I dressed up in a full army fit. I was like, it was a calling. I didn't join until I was 21, so a little bit later on in the year, which I'm glad I was able to mentally grow and prepare myself for the military personally, because of where I came from. I don't think I would have been ready sooner, and because I waited, I was able to grow from that. When I first joined the Navy, I was an undesignated airman in the Navy, so I dealt with jets, and I did all the cool hand signals to launch and recover them. That was a really good experience in my life. But I felt there was a different calling in my life. I didn't know what it was at the time, and RP stands for Religious Program Specialist, so I work alongside with chaplains from any religion, from Baptist, Protestant, and the list just goes on. And my job is to support whatever religion that is. And I am a big people person. I've always wanted to do more with my life, and people are a big part of that. And connections and just growth as people and being there for others that don't always have a voice. They have us as a team. And that's just been the biggest blessing. I've been in the military now for 6 years, going on 7 this February, and it's honestly been the biggest blessing of my life. And every obstacle I've come across, I have used it as a learning and a growth, because it's just like if you allow all the negative things to happen, it can put you down, but it also can make you a lot stronger in which it has. I'm planning on making it a career. The military is my family, and so is everybody I've come across. And being here, we in Palau, me and Chaplain Daniels have gone to a lot of high schools, elementary, getting our faces out there and just showing the effort of we're here for you. We are here to support you. As little as it may be a volleyball game, support of a track meet, volleyball, or us playing together. Don't ever, I want to talk to you guys. I want to learn your cultures. I'm asking anybody I can about them, about how they grew up. I just recently found out about how children are named and how it's based upon the father's family. Yes. And I think that is amazing, and I am continually wanting to know the Palau culture. So if you ever see me around, just make sure you talk to me. I'll talk right back. I love you guys so much. It's so beautiful here. The water's amazing, and I just want to know Palau. I want to know you guys, and I will answer any questions that I can if you have about also the military, or as a person. So I'm a very open book, but I'm here to support not only the Marines, sailors, Coast Guard, Air Force, Army, all of them. We are here for you guys.
Thank you, Victoria.
Victoria's also an animal lover, and we keep trying to tell her she can't bring the animals home. Stop trying to bring bats back.
When you finish the military service or when you retire, come to Palau. I'll give you to build your house and stay here and contribute here.
You don't have to ask me twice. I want to already stay.
We appreciate every part of the service.
We're coming to an end, and then
I think Lieutenant Colonel is the last one to share.
Okay.
I thought you spoke already.
Oh, I've been speaking a lot. I was talking about the mission.
Yes.
Yeah, you're the boss. So
I want to know where he was born.
So I tell stories backwards, and I talk a lot, so just cut me off if you need to. So I'm married. My wonderful wife, Elizabeth, we're coming up on... been married for 16 years now. I have to check the tattoos to remember the date we were married. And then I have 4 kids. So my oldest son, Aiden, is 12. I have boy-girl twins that are 9, Gavin and Charlotte. I'm sure Gavin will be watching this over and over again because he's like my little shadow. And then
say hello, Ali from Palau.
Ali kids, and then my youngest, Rowan. So Rowan, we call him my mini-me because he's the only kid that kind of looks like me, or looks mostly like me and not like my wife. And all of his mannerisms and behaviors is grumpy attitude. It's exactly like me. So I tell you that, then take into consideration the rest of the story. So originally I'm from Montreal, Canada, and I grew up in a town called Temple City, California, which is next to a small town called Los Angeles. So a big city. So big city suburbs is where I grew up. Great family growing up, lots of support system. So I grew up a comfortable life, middle class life, and getting into the Marine Corps and growing up, it was always push for adventure, travel, be curious, wander. My grandfather, he spent some time in the Second Island chain, may have visited Palau in World War II. He was in the U.S. Naval Service, drove around a lot of the merchant marine ships, the Liberty ships and the Victory ships that came here, and then Guadalcanal, and then Okinawa. Lots of families spent time in the Pacific. My father grew up mostly in Australia. My mother's British, so very different background. And I'd always been very, I almost want to say like militaristic, bellicose, belligerent, kind of a aggressive personality. Spent a lot of time in the water. My brother ended up joining the Marine Corps. He's a Marine Corps as well. There's another Lieutenant Colonel Reukema, which is strange because there's not a lot of people with this last name in the world.
Yeah.
But he works in Marine Corps headquarters in Quantico, Washington, D.C. And so I joined the Marine Corps after college. So I went to university, a place called University of California, Santa Barbara. I'd already met my soon-to-be wife. She went to University of California, Los Angeles. And I knew going into school, into university, I was going to be in the military. I was chasing adventure. I was chasing, opportunity to lead, to see new things, to wander, to explore. And after September 11th, 2001, I was in university when I saw when I saw the towers fall, and I was in. And I've spent the last 17, 18 years fighting for my country, Afghanistan, Iraq, Africa. Those are some of the places. I've also got to go to some amazing places. I just came off of a 2-year tour in Korea. It was just beautiful. I absolutely loved it there. I was on a Marine Expeditionary Unit once. We came through the Pacific. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. I've had a very close connection with this part of the world, with the Pacific, being in the water, and a lot of it just had to do with adventure for me. And I was blessed, absolutely blessed with the opportunities that I had to command, and the Marines I've had the opportunity to lead, and getting this job was absolutely like winning a little lottery, and being able to come to Palau, and given the mission, which was just demonstrate U.S.'s commitment to the Compact of Free Association, demonstrate our commitment to a free and open Indo-Pacific, maintain relationships with the Republic of Palau, and go see what we can do that can advance the interests of the Republic of Palau, and advance the interests of the U.S. government in the region. So been a lot of places, got a big family, a little bit of a different perspective from a lot of the Marines in my unit, that it was all very leadership and adventure bound, but I was just kind of a warlike person to begin with. But these are some of my warriors. We call Koa Moana as ocean warriors, and you can see it's a very, everybody's got their own reasons. Very diverse group.
Very diverse, yeah.
Very, very different objectives for joining the military and for being here, and what their interests are. And the nice thing is, even though we say Marines, we are all one, we're molded out of the same thing, you can see everybody has their own personalities.
Yes. Each of you has a gift, and what I admire in the military, I think I've told Wayne this before, is the discipline. And then you have this aura of service. And I have challenges. I don't think I've shared with Uludong and Ngirmang today, but hiring a couple of young people in Palau, and then they're not showing up to work, or they're just not calling, and it's a big, so I really, I thank you for being here in Palau, and for sharing with us about your lives, and how your life came to be, and why you joined the service. You are a role model as well as you walk around, and I'm praying that the young people also see how important it is to be disciplined and have a work ethic, and to have a heart of service. So thank you for being with us today.
Before you go, I'm gonna, when I listen to you, I kind of says, this is a tough guy, rough guy. You've gone through shit, So I'm asking you, can you jump from the sky?
I've jumped out of the sky.
Can you go dive 200 feet, like in the? You're not for Palauans. You need to dive.
I can't free dive 200 feet. I've jumped out of airplanes before, but I can't free dive 200 feet.
Okay.
15, 17 feet.
Well, thank you very much, and we've, it's been all very, very nice and smooth. But so this is going to be a hot one before I let you go.
Maybe for Lieutenant Kampa?
As you know, in Korea and all U.S. military bases around the world, there is what they call the status of force agreement. In that agreement, when we negotiate the compact, I was one of the last one in Guam in 1993. There should be under the subsidiary agreement under the compact. Then, as you know, like in the case of Philippines, the famous case of the U.S. military guy who killed, guy in the room. This in Korea, in Japan. So, in terms of this, has never happened to us because we never had you before. Now, after 26 years of independence, you're here. In case of, let's say, violation of law by you, like accident, fights, killing, rape, or things that are, clearly a violation of law. How? I guess this is for you. How does that is going to be treated here? Like. Palau law enforcement officers will deal with it, or will just hold the guy or person and then call the people from U.S. Embassy and get them to come and handle that, or what about our court system, or if we have like social problems. If one of you fall in love with one of our kind,
is that a social problem?
Yeah. No. And then you have you decide to get married, or you have a breakup, or you have a fight, a family fight, or you have a boyfriend. I mean, a girlfriend. That kind of situation. How do we deal it? Because it's going to happen. I tell you, it's going to happen one of these days. Because there's too many of you running around here. And, people.
Someone's going to fall in love.
We got a lot of men.
Can't stop.
And rough men like him, So, I mean, how is that?
The Marine Corps has actually a long history of falling in love with Palauans.
Yeah, I know.
One of our early heroes, a fellow by the name of Pete Ellis, actually moved to Koror in the 30s and married into a Palauan. He ended up dying without any kids. But back to the original question about the SOFA and COFA. So, I mean, if U.S. service members get arrested in Palau for misconduct or for breaking the law, it's through the Palauan system. So it's plus there's embassy gets involved. We take a look at it. But one thing we also have is I have authorities as a commander to execute justice over my. It's one of my responsibilities is discipline and justice, military justice over my own people. So I can do that. So there's a lot of the lower end, indiscretions or misbehaviors or violations of laws that I can actually adjudicate. Whether the Palauan government allows me to do that, that's a discussion because it's not spelled out in a SOFA. We don't have a SOFA. There's elements of a SOFA inside the COFA, but it's not a specified SOFA.
Your situation would dictate
At least
to as well.
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, like from your position, is there some kind of agreement now or understanding between like U.S. Embassy or military and Palau law enforcement officer of how to handle this kind of situation?
There's no secret agreements or anything like that. I mean, it's just people working things out and talking it out. I don't have anything in writing saying that no, everything. I'll take care of everything. There's a lot of things I can administer justice within my own powers. I can actually make it move a lot faster than most organizations can. But there's no formal, nothing in writing that says you have to give it to me first.
In the U.S. Embassy, the ambassador, his job is different. He's a diplomat. He's more like partying and and talking and dancing. He's a fun guy. He's a fun guy. He's not making the road like this. You guys are.
And you also have a very mature group of Marines underneath your command, sir. So it's not that they're not going to be responsible, and we always have buddies wherever we go to watch out for each other, make sure that we're not being inappropriate, make sure that we're following the laws and the rules and respecting the locals too as well. So you say situation may happen, we could what if all day, but at the end of the day, if we do something incorrectly, we will be held accountable, and our commanding officer will make sure that happens, but we will also be respectful of your laws too as well.
Yeah. And it could happen. I mean, it's a law of numbers, right?
Yeah.
More opportunity, longer duration. It could happen, but we have stuff in place, and we know that everybody knows. Like Gunnery Sergeant Megahertz said, that I take the behavior and the conduct of my service members very seriously. I expect, and then I've given them very strict direction that they need to, every interaction they have in Palau should be like they're at their grandmother's house. Should be like at their grandmother's house.
Very good term. Very good one. Good one.
Yeah.
We need more
Yes.
people like you in our schools here, actually. We have to also think about what my aunt said the other day. Look inside the country and see where we can improve. And the challenge is usually the young people, trying to help them to know how important it is to be disciplined and think about life, not just, I think COVID has made some depressed. We've had a high rate of suicides within the last 8 months. But there's got to be some way that we can all work together.
So this is the hottest one. So I'm going to ask you, and I know last time, I think this fellow, they kind of, but we clung to our TV and our cell phone about what's happening in Afghanistan. Especially for my interest, I said, as a policy matter, what happened? How did the Americans so smart and miscalculate this whole 300,000 military of Afghanistan just evaporate in a matter of 2 weeks? I mean, and the whole thing is, I mean, we look at it, what? We're proud, we're an independent country and we're dealing with you. And we admire you. I mean, we look at the Americans as like next to God, before. Now I guess we kind of, but so what happened?
We are gods.
Yeah. So I mean, I know.
Only
so
one God. It's just one God.
You can take off. Yeah. So take your just as a person, as an American citizen, it has nothing to do with the military. Just what happened? I mean, what's gonna move from when you see these human beings, getting
So as far as that goes, I know several of us here have been to Afghanistan and Iraq, so we all have
you must have strong feelings, yeah?
Yeah, in the Middle East, but at the end of the day, I hate to tell you, but it's like we said last time, where as a military, we have to stay apolitical and we stay out of all of those policy arguments, because our job is to follow what the president says, what the Secretary of Defense says.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with politics. I mean, just like you see that country deteriorating. What happened? I wish to, kind of seen Americans and said, you're here, and you are also in another foreign country. This happened. What happened here? Like, if we have, like, let's say, government, when I have problem with our future president of government and stuff like that, and they have problem with majority, versus the government. I mean, that kind of stuff. Where do you stand in that kind of situation?
We were very focused on our mission here. So what we told our Marines is this is our mission here in Palau, and we keep our focus here, because if we shift focus any way whatsoever, it could have effects on our mission here. So whereas any loss of life is tragic and felt throughout the Marine Corps, felt throughout the services, and even the locals in Afghanistan, our focus is here. So we want to remain on target on our mission here in Palau.
I'll just add a little bit to that. But that's a great question. The question you asked there at the end, what happened? I don't know. Like I can't give that answer right now. And I've fought in Afghanistan. I fought with some of the, side by side with some of the best Afghans and some of our European allies and some of the best Marines that I've ever met. And we did great there. We performed our jobs amazingly in Afghanistan. And what happened over the last few months, that's a question that's going to take, that's not going to be answered anytime soon. That's a question that's going to be debated, probably around tables like this. It's going to be, debated around the fire pit. It's going to be debated around the, the fire pit late at night. It's going to be around the, from, the dinner table all the way up to the big oak tables where influential people ask the really hard questions of their people that were involved in the fight in Afghanistan over the last 20 years. So what happened? That's something that's going to have to, we don't know yet. And then I don't have that answer right now. I wish I did, but I can't give an answer. That's one we're going to be talking about for a long time. That's a great,
especially you guys.
That's a great question.
I mean, you're leaders.
No, that's a great question.
So is it more like is it like their religion or their culture that the Taliban was part of it, and then we have this new government is like looked upon as because you're the mercenary for the Americans. Foreigners, so it was like became like culture, and you were there between like we're local, it's our culture. Our brothers are siding with the foreigners and fighting us. So I mean, it came to kind of that level because I can't understand like people you train, and I read about some of them, real good soldiers. How they just take off their uniform and join the crowd, or I mean, what?
We can't really speak for others.
Yeah.
I mean, that kind of thing,
We're here right now.
I mean, you understand them. I know it's a tough question, but
Yeah, it's definitely always going to be a tough question. But at the end of the day, we just, it's always going to hit home. Our fellow service members, unfortunately, that we did lose. It's like family. It's like losing a family member, and our hearts and prayers go out to them. And although we don't have those answers to those questions right now, we still just have to stay focused on what we're doing here for the better of, the Marine Corps, DoD services, and for the Palauans to stay focused and to stay as positive for you all and ourselves too as well, and our other Marines. So we kind of just want to let everybody know we are thinking about them and we are sending out our hearts and prayers. But hopefully we do have answers to those questions later on down the road.
So, and then we have a resource here, our chaplain. So there's lots of Palauans that have come back to Palau that are veterans of the same, they've, walked in the same dirt, fought in the same battles that many of my Marines have. So some of the, the Palauan warriors that have come back to Palau after these conflicts, they might be struggling with trying to understand what just happened in Afghanistan. And I'm extending the resource of my chaplain. If any of those people need someone to talk to, nice. he's here for that, because they're probably feeling the same thing I'm feeling when they saw the service members lost. They started tasting metal in their mouth, and they get that numb feeling like they're about to get in a fight. If they're feeling that right now, they can reach out to my chaplain. He's available to talk with.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay.
That's very nice.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think this has been a very good exchange, and I'm sure I'm sorry that I really failed to summarize your comments, which are very good for. But most of us understand English now, except
Which is good.
all ladies. But thank you very much. It's been very good discussion. So I'm sure the next group they come, if Irene invite them, we'll probably allow them to join us. But thank you for what you're doing to your project. A very worthwhile project. I really like to see those, local level project. Things.
So I'm going to ask Moses for permission and Salvador, and then allow each of you to give a shout out to your family wherever they are. So we'll start with the ladies. Is that okay? Like you can say Ali from Palau. And so if we send the link, you can send it to your family and they can play it and at least see you. So we'll start with Victoria.
Ali from Palau. A shout out to my mom, Amy, and my dad, Craig. Without your support, I wouldn't be here, so thank you.
Ali from Palau. Also want to shout out my mother. Thank you so much for always supporting me and my dreams, and also to all my friends back in Boston.
Ali from Palau. It's going to start night now, but I'm going to do a couple of local shout outs. My family, you know I love you. However, yeah, my sweet bean, he broke his clavicle. Get better, babe. You'll rough it out. You're a Marine. So I would like to give a shout out to Blue Bay, who's providing us with some fuel right now for all of our equipment. Great job on that, great refueling. KSG for allowing us to keep our physical fitness up to par and supporting us in all that they do. And then really PPUC for inviting us in and giving us a lot of information and helping us understand your electrical structure. So big shout out to everybody.
Wow.
Ali from Palau, babe, to my wife, Danita, I love you, I miss you, and I'll see you again soon. To my 4 brothers, John, Jason, Omar, and Pierre, what up? And to the students at PMA, bang bang. I've enjoyed getting to know you all, and I've enjoyed my time here in Palau. I'm looking forward to meeting many more of you as our time here, as we continue with our time here. Thank you.
Ali from Palau. To mom, dad, Liz. Well, that's my wife for those that don't know. Aiden, Gavin, Charlotte, Rowan, and all the Reukemas all over the world. Looking forward to getting back and seeing you sometime soon.
Ali from Palau. I'll give a shout out to Warrant Officer Knight. I worked with her husband back in one of the previous commands, but also to my dear wife, Teresa. I miss you. Deployment number 5. Hang in there. I'll be home soon. Love you. Miss you.
Well, shout out to you guys for having us back. Thank you very much. Of course. I have one for Beckwin. Good luck in Dubai. I saw him yesterday. He said he was going out there.
Oh, yes,
and then to my wife Joanna and son DJ, Ali from Palau. I'll see you guys soon.
Ali from Palau DJ.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, all good things must come to an end sometimes. You know, so
Not yet. I have something I have to give you. So this is a Task Force Koa Moana coin. This is just a token of our appreciation for having us on, and I hope you can have us on again soon. So we accept it like that and just shake hands. That's yours.
Very special.
One for you as well.
Oh, thank you very much.
Of course.
Truly appreciate
Thank you.
it.
my
beautiful.
son went to the Navy for 4 years, and my daughter was in the Army. So
it's great.
And by the way, I used to oppose Vietnam War and march in the street in Hawaii as a student against the war, but that's different story. But now, as far as
Your kids join the military.
I changed.
Once in a while, he still tells me, "We need to march."
Okay.
Yeah, thanks again, everybody,
thank you.
for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Pelawati kesedrara mauod laradu bakal dioselme Kedengal tangat rabalwa tarakmal lebogol belu Aradaragi atarangdi gau gere Pelau ragau, pelau ragau